bookish friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Emily and this is my channel Books for Life, and today I'm here for the answers for my Q&A, which I posted about on July 9th because that was my booktube anniversary, and also the winners of the giveaway. Before I begin answering these questions, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your love and support on my channel. I have reached more than 450 subscribers. I'd love to get to 500 by my birthday in September. I am so thrilled by this experience. I love having a booktube channel and interacting with others on this platform. So just thank you so much for supporting my content and for watching and subscribing, and I love it. So thank you so much. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to have a screenshot of the question below, and I'm just going to kind of go through and quickly answer them. I have like 26 questions or something like that, so I don't want this to be too lengthy, so I am just going to quickly answer each one with the screenshot here. About halfway through, I will pick the first winner. I put all the names on a random picker wheel, so I have my computer right here so that I can just click it and we can see who wins. I am going to remove the first winner from the second drawing. I would like to have more than one winner, but the first winner will have their choice of all of the books, and the second winner will have their choice of the books that are remaining. Now, the books that the winner can choose from are a signed copy of The Gilded Wolves, a signed copy of Amber and Dusk, a signed copy of Wicked Saints, or a signed copy of Crown and Feathers. The winner could also choose a copy of King of Scars, but note that this copy is not signed. And just for a little bit more variety, I'm also going to throw in, you could choose if you would like The Last Name Zara. Now, this is the only paperback. All the others are hardcovers. This one is also not signed. So the first winner will have their choice from one of these. In order to win one of these books, you do need to live in the United States, and you also need to prove to me, if your subscription is not public, that you are a subscriber to me, and then you have to provide me with your address. I will leave something right here so you can see my Instagram handle. Probably message me through Instagram would be the easiest way. I've never used the YouTube Messenger, so I don't really know how that works, but I'll leave a link here and you can just send me a message there. So if an international winner wins, then you will have your choice up to like $15 or $20 from Book Depository, and we will figure out what book you would like. So we will take it from there once we see who wins. So I'm just going to answer these from the order they appear in my comment part on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to start with the bottom and work my way up. Thank you all, before I begin, really, for your sweet comments. You guys really said some really kind and just very sweet things, so thank you so much. I'm just so touched, so thank you. Okay, so definitely not a dumb question. If I could live in or go see any world in the bookish world, so I would want to go to Valeris in A Court of Mist and Fury. That's just my absolute favorite book, and A Court of Mist and Fury is, or A Court of Thorns and Roses is my favorite series, so I would just want to go to Valeris and see that beautiful city. Cole, I hope you're having a great summer too. I'll see you in a few short weeks. We'll be back to school before we know it. I would want to live in a world with magic. I'm thinking like Harry Potter. Like, I think that's the kind of world that I would want to like actually live in. I would love to go to Hogwarts. However, I would not want to be Hermione because that girl just has way too much pressure. I would want to be like a side character in the Harry Potter series and like be able to do my own thing, but like not have to go fight Voldemort because I'm not that brave. But yeah, definitely World with Magic. I'd love to see Hogwarts. That would be pretty cool. So my favorite color is yellow, and I also really like red. Not necessarily together, but I do love those two colors. And then I'd say my favorite book so far this year, my favorite adult book would probably be Educated by Tara Westover. I read that in February and I loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5. And then probably YA would be The Six of Crows duology. It was my first time reading that this year. I read those in April and I loved them both. Danny, you spelled it right. It is E-M-I-L-Y, so no worries there. So thank you so much for subscribing. I am a high school English teacher, so I work in a rural public school district. I actually just started at a new school this past January. I just work with 9th through 12th graders. So like, for example, this year I will be teaching 1 section of 9th, 2 sections of 10th, and AP Language and Composition. As far as music goes, I don't typically listen to music because I'm always listening to audiobooks, but if I were to listen to music, like if I have my son in the car or something, we usually put on country. If I'm in my kitchen and like getting ready to like cook supper or whatever and I want to listen to music, I'm right now like really into Chris Stapleton and Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. Like their song S.O.B. I just love, like I play that on repeat, but I love that song and I love some of their other songs together too. So Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats are a current favorite musician for me. I do have a dog. Her name is Athena and she is a black lab. She just turned 1 a couple weeks ago. Other than reading, I have a 6-year-old, so he keeps us really busy and he is an outside boy. Like he loves to do everything and anything outside. So like we will take him camping. He loves to fish. He loves to go bow fishing. So we'll go bow fishing for carp. He likes to just go outside and play soccer. We have a garden. Not that I'm really into the garden, but my boyfriend is. And because my boyfriend's into it, I help. And my son loves to garden. Well, he loves to eat the veggies. Let's be real. So we do that together. But yeah, pretty much anything outside my little man loves. My favorite genre for reading would be YA fantasy. That's primarily what I go to. I am venturing more into adult fantasy, but definitely fantasy. Like that's my favorite. So Alex, I started reading when I was young as well, like young elementary school. I remember reading like Junie B. Jones when I was super little, but the first adult book that I really loved, I don't even know if it's the first one, but it's the first like ones that I really remember being obsessed with, and that would be Mary Higgins Clark. When I was in middle school, and yeah, middle school, I went through a huge Mary Higgins Clark phase, and I read every single book I could get my hands on by Mary Higgins Clark. I don't know, I haven't like read any of her books since like early high school, so I'm not even sure if they're like, I think they were fine. I don't remember them having like too mature content, but like that's what middle school Emily was really into, was Mary Higgins Clark. Terrell, thank you so much for your sweet comments. They really just like brought a huge smile to my face. That was so kind. As far as the casting for Little Mermaid, I think Hallie's going to do an awesome job. I'm gonna be honest, I hadn't heard of her before this. I didn't know who she was, so I looked her up and I think it's awesome. So I can't wait to watch it. I think if you like YA books featuring like teenagers, you know, dying through some sort of event, whether it's cancer or something else, then a book that would be good would be 5 Feet Apart. I know that one's pretty hyped right now. I haven't read that one, but I've heard that it's really good. Somebody Up There Hates You is an older book, but it is about these two, I think it's 2 teens who have cancer, and anyway, they find each other and they're like in the hospital and they are like pulling all sorts of pranks and things like that. So that's another really good one. So definitely those two, 5 Feet Apart and Somebody Up There Hates You, would be good ones. All right, well, I'm a huge SJM fan, so I would have to marry Reese. I have to. I don't want to kill either of them. I love Rowan and Dorian, but I feel like I would probably kiss Dorian and kill Rowan because I just love Dorian even more than Rowan. The first middle grade series I remember reading, I think, was Goosebumps. Does that count? Is that middle grade or is that like upper elementary? How does that work? Well, if it doesn't count, then Fear Street, because I went through like in elementary school, I loved Goosebumps and Fear Street. And Fear Street's definitely more for middle schoolers, but I loved them. And then obviously I was the big Harry Potter hype stage, like those books came out when I was in elementary school and then into middle school, so I read those. Oh, I also remember in 7th grade reading A Series of Unfortunate Events and absolutely loving that. So those were some of my first ones, but probably Goosebumps and Fear Street were my first like more middle grade books. If I could get paid to read at home all day long and just read at home and not have to do like anything else, hell yeah, I would take that as a job. That would be awesome. But to be honest with you, I really do love teaching. There are some aspects to my job that are stressful, which I think is any job. And there are some things that I like more about my job than others. I really do love my job. So a book that has a pretty good focus on female friendships, I would say it would be a middle grade one, The Thing About Jellyfish. This is about a middle school student whose best friend has died and like the grief that she's going through and stuff. And so I wouldn't say it's a favorite of mine, but I did like it. It has a pretty good focus on female friendship. Another one would be a classic, would be Pride and Prejudice. I mean, that the friendship just between the sisters is pretty powerful in that one, but then also between Charlotte and Elizabeth. I mean, they like do not agree on some fundamental beliefs, yet they still have a pretty strong and lasting friendship, and I think that is pretty important and powerful. So my favorite fairy tale retelling is Beauty and the Beast. My all-time favorite is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've said this before, I'm gonna say it probably again in this video. Like, this is my favorite series of all time. I absolutely love this series. So hands down, if you want to read a loose retelling this would and you like more mature content within YA, then let me know. You can borrow this one. I can bring it to the school sometime. But yeah, this is my favorite one. I also really enjoyed Hunted by Megan Spooner, and I remember when I was in high school, I enjoyed Kiss. I don't know if it would live up now, but I did like that one way back then. I also really enjoy pretty much all of Gregory Maguire's retellings, so I like his like spin on them. I've also read a few Cinderella books that I really liked. When I was in middle school, I loved Just Ella. I don't remember who that's by, but I thought that was really cute. Obviously, Cinder. That entire Lunar Chronicles series is absolutely amazing. If you haven't read that one, then definitely check that out. But yeah, so those are some just off the top of my head. So a book that I had to read for school that I disliked the most, I don't know if I disliked it the most, but the one that I never actually finished, teacher confession, was To Kill a Mockingbird. I couldn't get into it, and I ended up like spark noting it the whole time. Sorry, teacher. And now my fellow coworker. Yeah, I actually have to teach it this year, so I actually have to sit down and read it, and so I am curious to see like what I will think of it now as a teacher, and planning a curriculum around it, and now just also as like an almost 30-year-old, like with more life experience, going through and reading this to see what I think. But yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird. So some underhyped books that I think deserve more love would be The Glass Arrow by Kristen Simmons. I loved this book when I read it like 2 years ago. I don't hear anyone talking about it because I don't know if it's because it was 2 years ago it came out, or maybe 3 now, or if people just didn't like it, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's about like this society where women are kind of treated like cattle, and so they're sold to the highest bidder. And you have this main character who was like raised in the wild with her aunt and I think her siblings, and then she's captured and she's brought to the auction house. And so to be in the society that she really isn't even accustomed to, I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic book, and it is a standalone YA dystopian novel, which when does that ever happen? But definitely The Glass Arrow. And then on a more like adult level, Rust and Stardust came out last year, and that is a historical fiction telling of the Sally Horner kidnapping in 1948, and I didn't hear anyone else talk about that. That was like one of my top 2 favorite books of last year. It was an emotional ride. It was fantastic, though. I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars. Cats and Camera, I have to go with ACOTAR. I would love to have a TV show of A Court of Thorns and Roses, but only if they could do it right. I don't know if they could, but I think that would be an awesome film or TV show. So read past my bedtime. I do enjoy editing, especially if I can like put music on, or like put, like last night I was actually editing a video and I put Sweeney Todd on the TV like in the background and was like doing my thing. So if I can just like do that, if there was pressure to do other things like during the school year, if I have to grade but I also feel like I need to edit, like that's when I'm like, ugh, like my grading is way more important, but I also want to like have interests outside of work, and so like that's when the pressure's on. Some book covers that I find absolutely beautiful are A Black Fox Running, Wicked Like a Wildfire, Winterwood. So like you can kind of see like that's kind of my aesthetic. I love things like that. Like I love like Mirage. I think things like that are just gorgeous. And if I wasn't an English teacher, I would want to be a school librarian. I am thinking about going back to school and getting a second master's degree, but the idea of going back to school for a second master's degree is really daunting, especially like having a young child. I already did that. Like when I went to my master's the first time, I was driving an hour and a half to get to school. It was my first year teaching. So I had my first year teaching. I was driving an hour and a half to go to class, like 2 days a week, and my son was 2. So it was so busy. And we did that for 2 years. And so just the idea of doing that all over again. I mean, obviously it's a little different because now I've been teaching, I'm starting my 6th year. But I want to be a librarian. So we're going to quickly pause and select the first winner. Congratulations, Trish! So you are the first winner, so you get the dibs on all of these books. So the next winner will have their choice of whatever 4 books remain. But congratulations, Trish. So 5 books that I've discovered from BookTube Preston would be like Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Actually, I had never even heard of Laini Taylor before this, but I love Daughter of Smoke and Bone. V.E. Schwab was someone I'd never heard of, so I read Vicious and Vengeful from her. Christina Lauren was another person that I was introduced to, so Love in Other Words. Specifically, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Dating, like that was the first Christina Lauren book that I'd heard of through BookTube. Taylor Jenkins Reid, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Oh, The Wicked Deep was one that I had never heard of, and that I learned of through BookTube. But my favorite ones of those would have to be Daughter of Smoke and Bone and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I think the most important lesson that I've learned from my BookTube channel is don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like, I'm like still terrified of the negative comment that I'll get at some point, which I haven't gotten yet. Knock on wood. But, you know, things like that just like really bring me down, and I was like really self-conscious of like setting up a YouTube channel and not knowing how this would be received. And so I think like just like do the things that you enjoy and don't let haters get you down. This one I kind of talked about before, so I'll just kind of say like, I think if I were to reread a book that I have to reread it, one that would be interesting to me to see how I'd react to it now would be To Kill a Mockingbird. I hope that as, you know, with 15 more years on me, that I would enjoy it more. I'm curious to see what I take away from it now as a teacher, as an adult, and I do have to teach it this year, so I have to go through and build a curriculum around it. So I'm curious to see how that experience will be for me. So Connor, I think that the hardest challenge is creativity. I definitely do like the cookie cutter type of videos. I am beginning to branch out a little bit more and including more of the things that I do in my classroom. Like I have a vlog coming up with when I went to like an AP training. I'm starting to try to do like some teacher talk videos, things like that. But I'm not like a super creative person, and I'm not gonna put skits on, and I'm not going to, I don't know, that's just not me. So I think like trying to differentiate myself on the YouTube platform is definitely a challenge. I definitely don't do a great job of that, and I don't know how to change that because it's just not who I am. I'm definitely like a very like cookie cutter type of person, I guess. Whew. But yeah, that's definitely a challenge. So if I could go anywhere in the world, I would want to go to Ireland. I've always wanted to go there, and my parents just went and had an amazing time, so that's a place I'd want to check out. If I could wander into any book land, Charlie, it would have to be Court of Mist and Fury. I want to go to Valeris so bad and live there. Yes, definitely. So an underrated book, I answered this with Brian's question, but I will also say another one that I loved was Before We Were Yours. This is a book about the Tennessee Children's Homes Association, or the Tennessee Children's Home Orphanage or whatever, how it was run from like the 30s to the 50s. And basically this orphanage ran by, they stole children from like poor homes or children that they found like on the side of the street or whatever, and they stole them, they put them in this orphanage and they sold them to rich families. And this went on for decades. This is based off a true story, and many families were torn apart. There are still families that never actually got back together, and so I think that book deserves more hype and more love. I found that my reading habits have changed since I joined BookTube. This year I made a goal to actually record and keep like a list somehow of the books that I'm reading. So I have an actual like handwritten book that I log my books in, and now I use Goodreads, which I'd never used before. So that's a huge habit change. I also found that I'm listening to way more audiobooks. I had never listened to audiobooks until last September when my aunt introduced me to the Libby app. Thank you again, Aunt Bonnie. It changed my life. I listen to like 5 books a month on that, and that's made a huge difference in reading, and I read and listen to more adult books that way too. So yeah, absolutely. And definitely in a positive way. Unfortunately, you don't enter multiple times for asking multiple questions, but good try. A character that is unlikable that I like anyway is Macbeth. I love teaching Macbeth. I love teaching Macbeth's character. I love him. Like, and he's definitely an unlikable character. One book that I think everybody should read is The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. I think this just is such an important book that teaches such important life lessons, and everyone should read it as a child, and then again as a teenager, and then again as an adult. Like, it's just a really important life lesson book. Tia, I am not in any book clubs in real life. I want to be so bad, and people always try to start one in my area and then they always fall through. Nothing ever actually happens. So I would love for that to actually happen. I think the hardest thing is just, time management and creativity. That makes it difficult. But my favorite thing is definitely learning about new books and new authors and having a platform to interact with people about books. Like, that was never a thing for me before. I didn't have that. So having people to talk about books with. So instead of saying one book that's become a favorite, I'm going to say an author that was recommended to me based from like a booktube channel that had become a favorite would be Christina Lauren. I have loved every one of her books. They're like cotton candy, fluffy wonderfulness that I just gobble up in like 1 or 2 sittings. And she's now like an insta buy for me. I'm buying via audio all of her books, and she is a quick favorite. So Trish, I wouldn't say this was my least favorite, but my most disappointing book of the year so far would be Vicious and Vengeful. They were great books. Yes, they were wonderful. I did really enjoy them. I think I gave them 3.5 stars, but they were disappointing because I thought they were going to be 5-star reads, and they weren't. They were good books, but they were not a 5-star for me. Donna, I also started loving books at a young age. Elementary school, I remember reading children's books. I remember loving Junie B. Jones and going to the library and like getting on my knees because they were like on the bottom shelf and getting all the Junie B. Jones books that I could have. And then I got into Magic Tree House for many years, and then I was into Goosebumps. But yeah, definitely early elementary school was when I started loving reading. I wouldn't say that this book changed my life, but a book that changed me as a reader would be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I really wasn't a huge historical fiction or an adult book reader until I read The Nightingale, and that's when I started realizing how much more I connect with adult characters because I'm not a teenager anymore, and I do still enjoy YA, don't get me wrong, but I do at times find it difficult to connect with those characters. And so The Nightingale just opened my eyes to a lot of other books and genres, and I started branching out a little bit more after reading The Nightingale. And again, first favorite book as a child would be Junie B. Jones. I just loved her, and I think I connected with her. I was one of those young children who never stopped talking, and I'm sure my mom and my dad would agree that I just talked all the time. And so Junie B. Jones and I, we were on the same level, and I just loved her as a character. All right, so we are going to draw another winner. So let's hit the wheel and see who wins. I did remove Trish from the thing because I do not want her to win twice. So let's see. Congratulations, Terrell. That's so exciting. So let me know. Here's a thing to my Instagram handle. Let me know what book you would like from the remaining 4. I will let you know what one Trish has chosen, and then just send me your address here through my Instagram and I will send you your book. Oh, what the hell? I'm going to do one more. So I'll have 3 winners. So let's see who is the 3rd winner. Congratulations, Tia, you are the 3rd winner, so you get what is left after Trish and Terrell have picked. Oh my gosh, all 3 of you guys start with the letter T. That's funny. So I will send you your book too, so send me your address. Here's a link to my Instagram handle, or not a link, but here is my Instagram handle, and you can send me a message there and I will send you your book. So thank you again so much for all your love and support on my channel. I really appreciate and love all of you, and I look forward to getting to know you even more and interacting with you. If you liked this video, please hit that like button, and if you're new here, please subscribe, and I'll be back with more bookish videos soon. As always, keep reading.